Well, thank you for joining us today. I'm here with Isidro Carrasco for our video interview for leadership and ministry. And today I'm super excited to hear about Isidro's journey in leadership. And he is the Catalyst Community Relationship Liaison for Catalyst Bible College here at Visalia First. But he's had a lot of different roles in leadership. And especially in his last career that he just retired from. And it's been just amazing to see his journey as a leader. And so, Isidro, thank you for taking this time to interview with me and share a little bit about leadership in your life. Really, the topic of this is that leaders set vision and move an organization. So just kind of keeping that in mind as we walk through some of these questions and what that has looked like to you over the years of leadership in your life. So please, would you start just telling a little bit about yourself and what life looks like, your journey through leadership, and we'd like to hear a little bit about you.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, thank you for having me here. I appreciate it. Well, I've had a very interesting journey and to an extent, long journey. In just different capacities in life that God has blessed me with and given me those opportunities. No doubt it has started there. I think every opportunity that I have received has come from the hand of God, and so
Amen.
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
So I think as I look at my past 30 years, over 35, almost almost 40 years at some extent, of just the different roles that I have had, because I think leadership is about taking the organization forward,
Yes.
but that has come in a variety of steps for me. For example, in a professional career, I started as a classroom teacher.
Okay.
And so that in itself, as a teacher in the classroom, you are a leader.
Absolutely.
And you have influence upon your students. And I still run into my students from my first year of teaching back
That's
in
awesome.
1990 and had chats with them. Then I also moved into a coach,
Okay.
soccer coach. And again, you're a leader as a soccer coach.
Right.
And sometimes it's easy to measure the success on a soccer team, and that's just by the number of wins.
Yeah.
Right? Your goal and your mission is to win and to win a championship, and how you get there is that leadership process. And then as a teacher, same thing. Your goal is for the students to learn, and how you measure that learning and how you get there. Then I moved into administration at the public school level, and that certainly is just as much a very leadership heavy role, whether you're an assistant principal or whether you're an assistant superintendent or whatever it is. Even as an assistant, you're leading people.
Absolutely.
And over the years of reading different leadership books and different authors, I think John Maxwell is one of the well-known leadership authors and speakers, and he defined leadership as influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so as a leader, having the opportunity to influence, whether I was in a classroom, whether I was coaching, whether I was an assistant, administrator, and then the role as a principal. Definitely any principal out there, whether it's at the elementary, middle school, high school, is the leader of the campus there.
Right.
And so I spent many years in that role of leading a campus. And that certainly is about setting the vision of what you want your school, your organization to look like. And in that particular case, it always started with the academics, of setting the vision of how students are going to achieve academically. And then also talking about the morale of the staff, and how people are going to buy in, how people are going to be onboarded onto your campus, into your vision. So those are some of the journeys that I have spent for a good portion, well over 30 years of my life in that arena. And then retired from public education last year, and had the opportunity to come on and help out Catalyst Bible College. And so just building those relationships with the community out there. Talking with students who are currently in high school because of my background about their futures, and having Catalyst being a part of that as an option to them as well. And then also now as a teaching there as a professor here at Catalyst, that gives me a different type of leadership role.
Yeah.
It's for a small amount of my students that I have, but yet again, that's a huge role of being able to lead those students in learning and growing and understanding.
Yeah.
And going back to that idea about leadership is influence, of the influence that we have as professors, as teachers, with our students, to be able to influence them for what could be for many, many years down the line.
Absolutely.
So those is kind of my background,
Yeah.
in leadership, and like I said, I'm very grateful to those opportunities that God has given me over the many years.
Well, that's amazing, and just a powerful story of God's hand in your life and leadership. And I know you're in this new role in Catalyst, but I really want to focus on these next questions on your responsibility as a administrator.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important because it's a good perspective outside of the church walls, that even as a man of God, that you've had the challenge of leading a whole school for many years, even as a teacher, a coach, like you said, in a public school like that, there's apparently got to be a lot of different challenges in leadership, because you're dealing with, saved and unsaved people, in a lot of perspectives. So, in mind, as that role as the administrator, we've learned how you kind of moved into that. We've also learned how long that has been, which is, to me, it seems like it was just a successful run with the Lord at your side, getting you to where you've been. And then, of course, the luxury of being able to retire after many years of putting in all the work. But in those years, what would you say has been the biggest challenge as an administrator, a teacher, or a coach? I mean, it could be one or the other, all three, but what do you think has been the biggest challenge you faced in leadership?
Yeah, I think definitely the biggest challenge that in any leadership role, but definitely for me as an administrator, it was always about buy-in. And by that I mean, can you get, first of all, your staff to buy into the mission? And then can you get the students to buy into the mission? And then can you get the community to buy into the mission? The community of the school, whether it's the community that you live in or the parents of the students as well. The mission, and even getting that group together to determine what the mission of the school is going to be. To some extent, it's already determined by the district, and sometimes the state, and sometimes the nation. But nonetheless, every school site has the opportunity to bring their stakeholders and say, okay, how are we going to define and articulate our mission? It's always going to start out by centering it around preparing students for the real world, something along those lines. And at the last school where I was at, it was preparing students for success in life. And that means both in school and then for after they get out of high school. So I think buy-in, I think, is going to be one of the challenges. Articulating and defining the mission is not as challenging, but it does require people to come together. And I think you need to hear from all the different stakeholders, those people that have a stake in your school, and in a school or a school district. And so that means the students need to have a voice, the parents need to have a voice, the teachers and the staff need to have a voice, as well as the administrators, because the more voices that you include in the group, then the more chances of having buy-in from everybody as well. And then I think the other challenge is going to be, once you bring those people together, even the narrative and the wording of what we're doing. And by that I mean, this is our mission. It should never come to a point where it's just the principal's vision. It's not just the principal's goals. And so it's our mission. It's our team. And the minute that the community senses that this is just the principal's vision, there is no buy-in and there is no support. And it's out there, that person is going to be out there taking a walk by themselves. And so I think those some of the challenges. I think that are in any organization, but definitely on the school level, it is going to be about that the buy-in, about getting the people, the input from all the people, and then ensuring that the wording is about us and not about me.
That's good.
And so that, and then I think some of the other challenges is going to be just being able to keep the vision in front of the people,
Right.
and always making decisions that are based upon the vision and how does it contribute to the vision.
Sure.
And for example, budget is important, and money is important. And so every time that we allocated a dollar amount for something, then how does that dollar amount and how does that money fit into and to accomplishing the mission that is ahead, the mission that we're trying to accomplish. So being that specific about how every dollar is spent and how is that helping us achieve our goal and the mission. And then the other thing that I know education is very big on in throughout the entire country is going to be, the metrics that you're using to determine if you are getting close to the mission and the vision and the goals that you have established. Now, in the public realm in education, there is data, tons of data, right? There is scores for math, there's scores for English, there's scores for science, there's testing, there's assessments. And so it's a little bit easier there to be very specific about how many students actually pass the assessment, right?
Gotcha.
And how many students are scoring proficient on the assessment that each district or each state gives their students. And so there's so much data that can be used, but learning how to use the right data and what you're trying to measure, I think, is a challenge as well. Because right now, especially in the past several years, that there is so much data that one can kind of get lost in all the numbers in the shuffle. So the challenge is, what data is the data that's going to determine whether you're making steps towards your goals, and what data is just like, we don't even need to look at that. And so I think that's a challenge as well. And so those, I think, are the main challenges and how in the public education realm that I spent so many years in, and those were things of the everyday life as a leader, as an administrator, and then I think the other piece is, like anything else in leadership, is the relationships that you build with the people that you're leading. It's crucial that the people that you're leading know that you are there for them. And Jesus definitely had that model for us.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think on a school campus, again, when your staff or when your students or your community feel that you're not there for them, but you're there for yourself, they can read that and they will not follow. And they will not take you. They will, and that's who you're depending on to get you to the vision that and the mission that you're trying to accomplish. And so, building relationships of, I'm here for you, I'm here to serve you. And it's not the opposite way that the people are here to serve me. No,
absolutely. But
I'm here to serve you, and especially being at the high school level for as many years as I was, I think teenagers, despite all the quirks that they have as they're trying to grow up through their teenage years, they know when you sincerely care for them and are there for them. And when they know that, they will follow you. And I think, again, that's kind of characteristic of any organization. When the people know that the leaders are there for them, it's much easier to get the work done and to move forward.
That's good. Yeah, I love those, the three examples of challenges. As you were talking, it just kind of reminded me that even these challenges can become rewards, in a lot of ways, right? The buy-in, the relationships, the data, like all those things can help in a lot of ways. But as you mentioned, they can be big challenges. And so what would you say through your career as an administrator in education, what would you say has been your biggest reward? out of all of it?
Yeah, I definitely think for me, it's, I should say, at least for me, it was always about the people.
Oh, yep.
And the greatest reward I think that I had as a high school principal administrator is, for me, graduation was kind of like my reward
Yeah,
of seeing the students graduate.
sure.
And there, I mean, they would graduate, on all different levels, in this sense of, some are going to a four-year college, some are going to very prestigious colleges, some are going into the military, some are going into the workforce, some are going into a junior college, some are going to a trade school. So there's just a variety of places that high school seniors, once they graduate, that they go. But I think definitely the greatest reward is knowing that you are able to be a part of their lives,
Yeah.
and their journey, and that now you're kind of sending them off
Yeah.
into the proverbial real world,
Yeah.
and with somewhat sense of being ready and to take the next step.
Yes.
And so that, I think, was my greatest reward. And then you measure it by the number of students that graduate. Unfortunately, there's always one or two or three that didn't make it, and I think that's the hard part.
Right.
As well. We push so hard as a staff to try to get all of them to make it and to get there, and so unfortunately, sometimes not everybody does.
Yeah.
But the great vast majority, well over 95% of students do make it.
Yeah.
And again, and that's the reward for me as a high school principal. Now, along with that, the students are number one, and that's what we're there for. But I think also working with the teachers as well, or their staff members, whether it's a counselor or fellow administrators as well, and seeing them succeed.
Yeah.
Seeing a teacher that in their first year struggled,
Yeah.
just as many people in a first year profession struggle, and then working with them and seeing their confidence level rise and seeing them improve as a teacher, I think is also a great reward.
Absolutely.
And in seeing people like that, knowing that you have helped to bring people onto your team that have contributed far beyond what you thought they would contribute when you first brought them onto your team.
Yeah.
And whether it's another fellow administrator, or whether it's a teacher. I say teachers a lot just because they tend to be the greatest number
Yeah.
and percentage of people that you work with.
Sure.
And then seeing them grow in their leadership capacity. And by that, moving maybe from a classroom teacher to taking on the leadership role of a department overseer, a department leader, a department chair. Again, the rewards are not so much in the numbers
Right.
as much as in the people
That's good.
that you work for.
Yeah.
And again, because when I think you have a perspective of, I'm here for the people,
Yeah.
and whether they're the teenagers or whether they're the staff, that I want to see them succeed.
Yeah.
I think that's the greatest reward.
Awesome.
I think even simple and other things, whether it's, certainly academics is first, but let's say also in other non-academic things, whether it's a sport,
Yeah.
whether it's an academic decathlon recognition, whether it's the band, whether it's the cheer team, seeing your teams succeed after the hard work that they have put in,
Yeah.
I think is extremely rewarding as well. And just being able to celebrate with them, and being able to see how their hard work has paid off on the field or on the court or wherever it is that they might have been.
Awesome. Such a good, look into the reward of, education and being an administrator in that. And I just really want to say thank you for sharing your leadership with us. I've learned some things from it. And just kind of looking as to the challenges and the rewards, like, man, those things can go either way depending on how you contribute them as a leader, And so, Isidro, thank you again so much for sharing with us and being a big part of people's lives. and being a leader in their lives. I know you're a leader in my life, and I look up to you as that type of leader that really has shown me what it looks like to be humble and to be a man of God. So thank you so much for that. And I just I'm so thankful for this opportunity, and so I hope you're blessed by Isidro Carrasco just as I was, and thank you for watching.